Well, it didn't take us long to find something wrong with the Murcielago engine. And something tells me this might only just be the start of things I find wrong, not only with the engine, but also with the car. This Murcielago was abandoned for 7 years. That was until I decided to risk it all and buy it. The thing is, this type of car doesn't get abandoned for just no reason. 7 years ago, this car used to be a track experience car, until it developed a chain rattle. It was taken off the track to fix the chain rattle, but when the engine was put back together, it didn't turn over. Wow. The mechanic who put this engine back together then left the company, and then nobody else wanted to touch the car, which left the car and the engine just sitting there until I came along. As soon as the car and the engine was back into the unit, we didn't waste any time. Me and Dave from DTB Motorsport started cracking away trying to work out why this engine wasn't turning over. Take your guesses now. So at the bottom of the engine, there's a crankshaft. It has 2 gears on it, one of which drives the oil pump. This isn't timed, so we don't need to worry about that. But it also has another gear on it, which drives a chain, which goes up the engine and drives 2 more gears, which drives the camshafts on each cylinder head. And of course, these are timed. So if one of these are toothed out, the engine will not turn over and it won't run. We noticed on the left side of the engine, we was missing a chain guide, which is causing the chain on the left side to be really slack. So we decided to remove one of the camshafts on the left-hand side so we could take the chain off. That way we could just see if we could time up the right-hand side of the engine first. So we're taking the chain off this side, and now we're moving on to this side because this side's got all the guides, all the tensioners on and the chain on. But these notches here are supposed to be in line. These are the factory notches and they are slightly out of line. So Dave's attacking it, loosening off the cam variator and turning the camshaft so it's bang on, and then we're going to see whether it turns over, because at the minute this side locks out when we try and turn it over. But despite us getting the right hand side of the engine properly timed up, it still felt tight to turn over. But then we found an issue. We found one issue: 5, 6 cam cap, 7 cam cap, 8 cam cap, and then we go to 10. One problem found. How many others are there in this engine? Now it is so vital that the numbered cam caps go back in the correct position. That is because it's cast aluminium. So if they're in the wrong position, they won't sit flat against the head of the engine, and it'd be squashing the camshaft in such a way that if the car started, it would cause some serious damage. But now we have them all in the right order and the right side of the engine timed up. Let's see if it turns over. Turning.
It's beautiful, man.
Bloody hell. That's turning over much better. Well, it didn't turn over before, did it?
No.
Wow. So these were incorrect and this side was timed up wrong, but this side works. But would all of you be risking it in timing up the other side, then just rebuilding the engine from there, or do I need to strip it all apart? The head gasket's already been done, but knowing that this person can't count who rebuilt it before doesn't fill me with much confidence that he rebuilt the rest of the engine. Bang on in line there, bang on in line there, and we're roughly at around TDC there, which should match up there. And then it's just getting that side which we're missing a chain guide for. It might not be as bad as we first thought. Maybe. With one side of the engine turning over, me and Dave decided to put both camshafts back in the left hand side and put in a makeshift chain guide to keep the chain fairly tight. After that, we timed up the left hand side of the engine with hopes it would now turn over smoothly. Down again. It's turning. Wow. Well,
Take it in tomorrow.
yeah, we can. Bloody hell. So it's all timed up and it turns over now. The gamble is now, do we put it all back together or do we just strip it all apart? Stripping it all apart to do everything is going to be more expensive, which might not be necessary. But putting it all back together is going to be a risk because we don't know if anything else is wrong. But it does turn over, so Let us know in the comment section. So now I've got a decision to make, which definitely can't be made on an empty stomach. And this is the perfect time to grab myself a Y Food, the perfect meal replacement drink. Now, if you're like me and constantly on the go, you know how hard it is to eat healthy. And that's why I feel Y Food was made for people like us. Inside one of these shakes, there's 26 vitamins and minerals. It's high in fiber, high in protein, it's lactose free, it's gluten free, and there's no added sugar. Not only that, there's vegan options, and this bottle is 100% recyclable. So you could be about as green as, well, the Lamborghini. There is so many different flavors to choose from, like cold brew coffee, we've got fresh berry, there's pistachio and smooth vanilla. There's 500 calories of goodness packed into one of these things, so you can be sure that you're gonna stay full up to your next meal. So if you wanna start feeling healthier by substituting that fast food you might get at lunchtime, then why not give Y Food a try, and you can buy a taster pack by clicking the link in the description box below, and with help from this banner appearing underneath me right now, you're gonna get a nice bit of discount with that as well. With a big decision to make, I called in someone who might know a thing or two about Murcielagos. So Freddie and Scott are here to assess the damages, because the guys who know.
There's an engine missing, right?
This is Freddie, or better known as Tavares. He bought the actual Murcielago from the film Fast and Furious and rebuilt it on his YouTube channel. So he definitely knows a thing or two about them.
These are going to be your life. So everything on this car is put together with shims. Sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 5. There's differences on either side. You're just going to have to figure it out. Yeah. That's how they did it in Italy, and it's good enough for you.
So both Freddie and Scott, aka Rossa, were both really helpful in telling me what most of the nuts and bolts that I had in random boxes were for.
If you're working on this car, take these off.
Right.
Take these off during the entire.
Why? Because I'm just going to smack into them. Or?
You are. And if you do this, they're broken.
So if you feel that and spin that round, it goes tight, and then loose, and then tight.
Ooh, yeah, that's cool.
So something is not quite right in there. If you don't know Scott, aka Rossa, then he's a Ferrari expert, and with the Lamborghini being Italian, both of their help is priceless.
I know someone with an engine.
Do you?
Yeah, you have.
No, but I have this engine. I don't have the 640 engine.
Is it for sale?
I don't know. You know.
Freddie might want to sell this engine to me. But after about half an hour more of me trying to convince Tavares to sell his engine that he has for a Murcielago, I gave up, which only really left me with one option. And that is just to strip this thing apart, take the heads off, and just start from scratch. Which is exactly what we're about to do. So, well, let's get going. Have I ever stripped apart an engine before? No. But am I willing to learn? Well, I'm gonna have to be, because this is a V12 Murcielago engine, and every part to it is vital. And that's why I've got my dad here helping me strip it apart, so we can find out what else is wrong with this thing, if there is anything else wrong with it. My dad has experience in building engines, not quite Murcielago ones, so he's definitely going to be a big help with this build. You can see Hannah at the back doing an equally as important job by labelling up all the parts that we take off, so we know exactly where everything goes back together. That's if they're put right in the first place. And I'm now about to take off the final camshaft so we can access the bolts for the head, which are in a really difficult place to get to. And I remember Scott saying something about these.
If it's anything like Ferrari, there's a special angled tool.
And he wasn't wrong. We managed to get hold of a workshop manual, and of course Lamborghini being Lamborghini have made a special tool to get to those head bolts. Problem is, that tool is $554, and then we realised we didn't need it at all. I tell you what, it is a good job we're doing this because they're loose. The head bolts are right in there. Me and my dad were just trying to figure out how we were going to get to them, because we thought there was going to be a hole here. There's no hole in here or anywhere to get to them. But if you could just see, they're literally finger tight. The head bolts are finger tight. So what on earth? Why are they finger tight? I don't know, but it's definitely a good job we didn't bolt this all back together and put it in because, yeah. I actually bought this special, well, these crowfoot parts to get in there, which would go down, you put an extension on them, and these would get the head bolts off. But we probably aren't going to need them now because we could probably do them out without using this because they're all finger tight. Yeah, well, we're about to find out why they are finger tight, because it's probably going to be hiding something underneath. So on we go with undoing the finger tight head bolts, which is bizarre to say the least. So it's definitely a good job we didn't start this thing up like that. With all the bolts undone, it's time to lift the heads off the block of the engine, which revealed more strange things about this thing. Okay, update. Both of the heads are off. They've definitely had new head gasket here, so that's kind of a positive. And then we found something weird with the pistons. So here we have all of the pistons. On this side, he has marked them out. Whoever's took this apart, you can see some lines in there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down there. But what we have noticed is at the top of the sleeves here, you can see a little sort of oil mark there, and that is the same on every sleeve apart from this one, and this piston down there is really clean. So we think that one has been out, this one has been out, and potentially been re-ringed. Right, we're going to flip the engine up, then have a look from the underneath and see if anything else becomes obvious of why this was broke or not put back together properly. Now we are on the home straight of fully stripping this engine apart and getting literally to the bottom of it. All I'm doing now is taking the crank casing off, then we can access the crankshaft, which will allow us to undo the bottom of the con rods to pull the pistons out. And again, it wasn't long until we found something else which was a bit bizarre. The caps which house the big end bearings in the bottom of the con rods are all matched up to the top of the con rods. And this is fairly obvious because they're numbered. The thing is, when we took the piston out, we could see the numbers were all jumbled up. 2516 matched up to 2399. It's safe to say the person who built this engine could not count. Broken ring. Oh dear. Oh no. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that this engine has had a rebuild and everything in here is pretty new. So this con rod looks like it's uprated, it's new. We've got new big end bearings, new bolts, all new bearings in the bottom here as well, new thrust washers. The problem is, it's been put back together incorrectly, which has caused a little bit of damage. Here were piston rings. These piston rings obviously go around the top of the piston. All of these are new, but these ones are snapped, and these ones look like they've been snapped when he's knocked them into the engine, and you would have never have known that until you started the engine. And of course the engine would have failed anyway because all of these con rod caps were all incorrect, which would mean that this circle here was not a full circle, causing loads of friction. And you can even see, I don't know if you can see on that bearing there, the wear already. Can you see that? And that's just from turning it over by hand. So this engine, if it was started up with loose head bolts, cam caps the wrong way and con rod caps the wrong way round, would have had a catastrophic failure, costing, well, let me show you how much it would have cost. £28,615 plus postage. And that engine is for an LP640, which is the newer Murcielago, which wouldn't work in this Murcielago because this one is the earlier model. But that's not the only thing we noticed when taking apart the engine. We noticed this. So this is the gudgeon pin, and this goes through the top of the con rod and holds the piston to the con rod. And we think this has got wear on it, and if that goes back in, it may cause a sort of knock on the engine. You may hear it slightly knocking, so it's probably worth us replacing that. But for this piece of metal from Lamborghini, you won't believe the price. It is £235 and 41p, and that's for one. We need 12 of them. But a gudgeon pin doesn't look like the most technical thing to engineer, so maybe one of you guys may be able to help us out with that. But for now, I wanted to take a look at the oil pump and find out why it was spinning tight sometimes and then loose the others. And I think I found the issue. So after all that, it could have literally just been carelessness. There was a tiny bit of debris or bit of muck in between these two gears, and I've put it all together now. I'm not bolted it all back up yet because it needs sealer in there, but it spins nice and smooth. Whoa, nice and smooth now. So that oil pump definitely could be saved. But now the real question lies, and I know a lot of you want to know how much I paid for this broken Murcielago. And I know I've overpaid. But it made me feel a little bit better when I spoke to Tavares that a car like this in the States would sell for around $400,000. But the UK market hasn't quite got to that point just yet, which is why it's gonna make a lot of you guys cringe when I tell you that I bought this Murcielago for £100,000. I take risks. It's my dream car, come on. And just to add to that, I actually tried to contact the guy who rebuilt this engine at Everyman. Turns out he's in prison for armed robbery. So now you can see why I need all of your support on this. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. What an eventful and technical first day on the Murcielago. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. So maybe that was just 2516. I got 2516
on the top.
That's what I need. I need that one. Yeah.